Hello, my name is Kristie Strasen, and I live in White Salmon, Washington, and I am an artist, a textile designer, and actually a professional colorist as far as my career is concerned. So I was very honored when I was invited to curate a show at Columbia Center for the Arts, and in all honesty, I'd never curated a show before, so I was slightly intimidated, but I was also very excited. It was a really wonderful experience to go through the process of selecting the artists in the show, to come up with the theme for the show, which I did before I actually selected the artists. The theme for this show is Wild at Heart, Naturally Inspired. And the concept for me was to explore all of the different ways that nature informs the work of the artist. And there are the obvious ways when an artist's work literally revolves around natural subjects. But there are many more subtle ways in which nature kind of works its way into the psyche of the artist and influences their work. So the artists that I selected are very diverse in their pursuits. The first artist that I will talk about is a woman named Julie Beeler, who is a flower farmer. She is a natural dye expert, and she is also a textile artist. Julie makes these incredible kind of fabric assemblage pieces where she literally grows the flowers, dyes the natural fiber fabrics, usually wool, with the dyes that she makes from her flowers. She also dyes her own embroidery thread, and then she puts these pieces of fabric together, kind of assembles them in interesting ways, and then she embroiders over them with this naturally dyed embroidery floss. And the subject matter that she embroiders is always the natural environment. Laura Buchan is an amazing wood sculptor, and she uses the woods that are not precious. They're woods that grow in our forests right around here, maple, alder, some cherry, and creates these otherworldly sculptures that are really incredible. Sally Gilchrist is a multi-talented artist who's pretty well known in the Gorge for her paintings, her drawings, and for her spectacular black and white lino cuts. Sally has been a total student of nature, I think, her whole life. She's fascinated with natural history and is constantly reading books about natural history. And the work that she did for this show really explores her fascination with the cormorant, a bird that she became really enthralled with initially when she was on vacation in Northern California, and started watching these birds and kind of what they do. And the pieces that she did for the show are really striking in their line quality and their graphic quality. We're really thrilled to have Sally as part of this show. Molly Holmlund is another artist in the show, and Molly's work is just, I think the word ephemeral is probably a good word that goes along with her work. Molly, kind of like Julie Beeler, gathers natural dye stuff. She collects natural materials that are all around us here, and also sometimes some minerals. But instead of making dyes, Molly makes inks, which is quite a different process than making dyes. And she then uses these inks to paint with. And she paints in layers with these beautiful fugitive colors that, when they lay one on top of the other, are just so beautiful to look at. And so all of her work is in fact, all of the color in her work is basically distilled from the natural materials that she collects, and thus that continuous thread of the naturally inspired. Jen Smith is an extremely talented wildlife artist. Can you tell I have huge respect for all these artists? Jen's work, on the one hand, is probably the most obvious in terms of the theme of the show, Wild at Heart, naturally inspired, because she's known for these spectacular wildlife drawings. The thing that, in my mind, sets her work apart is that when you get up to it and look at it closely, she really captures the living, breathing soul of the animals that she draws in a way that they come alive. You can see their veins, and it's almost like you can see the blood pulsing through their veins. She paints everything from, horses to wolves to birds to you name it. If it's an animal, she's probably done a drawing of it. And she does these drawings on these boards that she has made that are like panels that she then gessos and sands to the point that they have this beautiful, glossy, like polished surface. And then she draws in charcoal on the surface of these polished boards. So the natural grain of the wood shows through her drawings and adds another natural element to her subjects. And Jen does do things other than animals. She also does a lot of subject matter just from the natural environment. And in this show, there's a spectacular bird's nest that she had in her studio when I went to visit. And she's looking at this bird's nest and doing this drawing. It's just mind-boggling. Come see the show, check out the shop, and support the arts. That's what we need.